Hello everyone, myself Prasad Vishnu Mani from Rajaram Bapu Institute of Technology, Islampur. Today I am presenting the presentation on IC of manufacturing processes and machine tools. IC topic is manufacturing processes of diesel engine block. Why the need of diesel engine block in diesel engine? The cylinder block, which is also called as engine block, is the main structure of engine which gives the space for the cylinders, and it also gives passages for the coolant exhaust and intake gases to pass over the engine and host for the crankcase and camshafts. Here you can see the image of diesel engine block after the process of casting and machining processes. Then which raw material is used for a diesel engine block? The raw material is used for diesel engine block have various properties like high strength, modulus of elasticity, wear resistance, ability to withstand vibrations, and corrosion resistance. High strength is mostly concerned in diesel engines because of their high compression ratio compared with petrol engines. The main raw material is used for manufacturing of diesel engine block is grey cast iron alloy. The grey cast iron is the first and most material used for manufacturing of diesel engine block, in which the grey cast iron contains 2.5 to 4% of carbon, 1 to 3% of silicon, 0.2 to 1% of manganese, 0.02 to 0.25% of sulfur, and 0.02 to 1% of phosphorus. The process which selected for the manufacturing of diesel engine block is sand casting, in which the various processes are included, such as selection of raw materials, pattern design, pattern making, forming of molding and core, after that casting and machining processes, and then final inspection, in which the first one is mold and pattern making. The mold is selected for this process is green sand mold, in which green sand molds are prepared with natural molding sand and with mixture of silica sand, bonding clay and water. To make green sand mold, the sand just properly tempered before it can be used. The main tool is needed for sand casting is the mold. The mold is generated by a mixture of sand, clay and water. The pattern is the cope and wrap pattern, which is main tool required to form the mold. It is normally machined by wood or aluminium, which can be easily machined. After that, the pattern is kept on the wood or metal frame, and the sand mixture is poured into it. Then vibration are applied for the mixture to get free from air bubbles. After the mold has been hardened, it can be used for casting processes. Here you can see the pattern of wood for the diesel engine block. Here other patterns are presented of diesel engine block. After the mold and pattern making, the process of core making is the core shown in figure provides the space for water jackets around the cylinders. The core has been painted to seal the gas formed during the casting process within the core, and the pink colored ends are not painted to let the gas escape to the outside. Here you can see the cores are present in the mold. Uh, Here another images of core which are put in the mold. Here in image you can see the main mold, which is in the form of cup and rag. Then the water jets and cylinder molds are arranged in the main mold as a one cube. The mold is then tightened using clamps to withstand the pressure of gravity when pouring of metal. After the mold making, and core making. The casting process is started. Now the mold is ready for the casting. The molten metal is poured into the mold through the smaller front center hole, which fills the mold from bottom back up to the top through the risers, which can be seen as 8 large holes. When the casting is cooling down, the molten metal in the riser is drawn back down into the casting. The riser acts a main part in the casting process by supplying required molten metal during shrinkage. Here you can see the image uh, after the casting processes of diesel engine block. After the casting, the machining process are started. In which the first one machining process is grinding, and second one is boring. Grinding the rough grey cast iron cylinder block is done with surface grinding to get smooth surface in the head, gasket face, and the faces where other components are fitted. Boring. Then the block is ready for the line boring of the main bearing bores. The boring bar contains multiple tools, so in one operation all the borings operations are done. Here you can see some defects in sand casting like blowholes, pinholes, misrun, shift or mismatch, drop, swell, metal penetration, cold shut, hot tears, slag inclusions, wash and cuts. If the permeability of the sand used for casting is high, the strength and the surface finish of the mold will be reduced. If the thermal stability of the sand is low, the mold may crack due to the molten metal. Then after third defect is if the compression of the sand is low, the casting would not be able to shrink and will end with the cracking. So we can see here the cracking is main defect because of thermal stability of sand is lower, then permeability of the sand used for is casting is high. So these are defects is considered in manufacturing processes. Here is the flow chart of manufacturing of diesel engine block. Firstly, we considered about raw material, selection of raw material, storage of raw material. Then we move to sand preparation and mold making. After the mold making, the metal is melted and the mold assembly is ready. The metal is pouring in the mold. After that it is check out and then casting, and then the final processing or machining process, and then final inspection. Here the conclusion of this ISC. After conducting this ISC, I come across to know about manufacturing processes of diesel engine block. I know about various processes like pattern making, mold making, core making, where types of machining processes of grinding, boring, and the final inspection also. Also known about various equipment which are required for manufacturing processes. On the other hand, the various precautions taken while manufacturing process is done, and also known about various defects in manufacturing process. This ISC is useful for improving our practical knowledge. Thank you.